Welcome to the Box Score Sports Podcast.
Okay, let's move on to our last game, the Minnesota Vikings versus the Los Angeles Rams. The Vikings are ninth in scoring offense, fifth in scoring defense, and the Rams are 20th in scoring offense and 17th in scoring defense. So I got a couple of takes here that I don't know. Do you guys want to hear the takes now or okay, let's do them now. Okay. Clint's all for this. I wonder why. Vikings will go 0-12 in the first 12 games of the season. That was Chris. Let's go.
Right.
The 49ers rescued Sam Darnold, and that is an exact quote. Clint, that was you. 49ers, I gotta throw this one in there, Clint, because we're not gonna talk about the Niners. 49ers will be 13-4 and have the number 1 seed, and you stopped right there.
I was talking about 2025 because now they have an easy schedule next year. That's what I meant.
That's right. You also picked the Rams to be the worst in the division, Clint. I don't know.
I mean, I was close.
Yeah,
they were close for a while.
Yeah.
Only a couple games.
Yeah. And Chris, good for you sticking with your gut because you picked the Rams to win the division and you were going to go with the Niners, but you're like, I'm going to go with my gut instinct. And you actually went with the Rams to win this division. Mm-hmm. So that was a pretty good, a lot of good predictions there. The Sam Darnold and the Ram one, kind of like, wow, those are some good predictions. But
so basically, Chris and I flipped everything.
Yeah.
he hated the Vikings, and I thought they were going to be great. And I thought the Niners were going to come through, and he was like, no, it's going to be the Rams.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100%. And I want to see, I was going to check this out. Okay, you did have them as the 7th seed, Chris, the 49ers. So
I couldn't go all the way.
You couldn't go all the way.
Correct. But
yeah.
They just had, if they didn't have like 30 injuries, they would have been a playoff team, but that's how it goes.
Yeah, that is how it goes. But some teams can handle 30 injuries and be the number 1 seed. Yeah. I'm throwing that out there. A couple guys on IR, no big deal. Okay, let's talk about this game. Let's look at the Vikings side, and I'll start with you, Clint, because you got the Sam Darnold thing right. You nailed it. What do the Vikings need to do to win this game?
They need to learn from last week. So I think last week might be the best thing that happens to the Vikings if they're going to have a playoff run here, and is that the Lions kind of went all out for that game with the blitzing, the stunts with the defensive ends, and it got to Sam Darnold, and he was kind of seeing ghosts like he did with the Jets because he had a couple slants there in the end zone for a touchdown if he just hits the back foot and throws it. They need to get a rhythm. You know, we talk about that a lot of times of just if the first play, instead of it a run, if it's just a dump off to Aaron Jones, if it's just a throw in the flat to Jefferson, get a rhythm. Because I think if they get a rhythm, then they can control the pace and flow of the game offensively. For me, the key is offensively, they just need to settle down and, be prepared for what the Rams are going to bring. Because I think the Rams are going to see that tape and they're going to come after them.
Yeah, I think you're right. And unfortunately, I think like if the Vikings can learn from it and adapt, it's going to be tough for like if they end up playing the Lions again. That's my greatest fear right now because the Lions kind of showed their hand. So if the Vikings, like you said, can learn from last week, they could be dangerous going forward. Rowan, what do you think the Vikings need to do in order to win this game?
I think they need to rely on the run more than Sam Darnold because Sam Darnold has shown that he still at times can be Sam Darnold instead of whatever they're making him right now. But I don't think you can rely on Sam Darnold to win you the game. Unless they're just feeding Jefferson, because I don't even know who the Rams cornerbacks are.
That's fair. Chris, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I'd say for one, hopefully for them. Sam Darnold got his jitters out of the way because that was probably the biggest game he's ever played Sunday. And counter to saying he has a tendency to throw high, and then obviously he was over, amped or however you want to say it. And he was missing everything high badly. So now maybe, hopefully, he's got it out of his system and he'll settle back into a rhythm. A dark horse one for me is I think they've tried to get, I guess, Hawkinson now he's played 10 games. And I just feel like it hasn't really gelled all that well from when I watched them. I think they just need to accept that right now he's still coming off an injury, and I think Josh Oliver is a better tight end for them right now, but they're kind of giving respect to Hawkinson, being the better tight end historically, and he's the number one again, and he's getting more targets, but I think they'd be better off scaling his role back and playing Oliver more. So that's kind of a dark horse for me because he was another one. He had a bad game Sunday
Yeah.
against the Lions. He had like a few passes hit him in the hands and he didn't really like fight for balls. And I just didn't like what I was seeing. And I haven't liked what I've been seeing from him most of the season.
Yeah, that might be a good dark horse one. I would say like yeah, get Jefferson the ball, but running the ball too. Like so, it depends because Aaron Jones is kind of injured off and on throughout the game against the Lions. So
Yeah.
otherwise, when he is on the field, like against the Lions, he almost averaged 5 yards a carry. He was at 4.5, so he was running effectively. But
Yeah.
can you rely on him? And I can Cam Akers. He had that one big run, but then he was like kind of like. He wasn't getting anywhere after that. So you need Aaron Jones to be healthy, and then you have to, I think I agree with Rowan, is rely on the run a little bit more and not have Sam Darnold throw it 41 times. But when he does throw it, he's got to find Jefferson and Addison and get them guys in open field, and I think they'd be successful.
Mhm.
Okay, anything else for the Vikings? No? Okay, let's look at the Rams now side of it. Chris, you were the Rams believer this offseason, so give me your take on how the Rams win this game.
Unleash Jared Verse and Braden Fisk and make Darnold has been getting the ball out pretty quick. I'd have to actually double check the the sack totals, but I feel like he hasn't gotten sacked too much. And he's been pretty solid with pressure in his face, but scheme up ways to get Verse and Fisk in there. I just saw a stat a couple hours ago that Jared Verse, as a rookie, was number 4 in the league in total pressures. His percentage was a little lower than some of the other top guys, but still, that means he's on the field a lot. And I think that's probably the best way to win. I don't have a lot of trust in the Rams offense to really keep up with the Vikings. The Rams offense has just kind of been plotting all this year. So I think that's the best is they're going to have to win with their defense.
Yeah, I think you're right in the sense, and that defense kind of has to mimic what the Lions did, and the question is, can they do it? That's the big question. Clint, what do you got for the Rams?
We need an A+ Matthew Stafford game.
Mhm.
I think that's the only way that this works. Like you can throw on the Vikings, but Stafford has, especially lately, been a
Mhm.
little off. Like
Mhm.
just because I'm a Niners. Like I think the Niners dropped 3 picks on that Thursday night game a couple, 3 or 4 weeks ago,
Mhm.
and I don't think the Vikings got good safeties. Those and a couple, I mean, at least young corners. I don't
Mhm.
think they're going to drop those if Stafford throws them some bunnies.
Mhm. I
So
think
I think Stafford is going to have to
yeah.
play one heck of a game, and he's going to have to do his stand there and get blasted while he's throwing sidearm to Cooper Cup or Puka Nakua and let them run. Because it's hard to run on the Vikings. The Lions did it, but the Lions have grade A offensive line, and I think this has to be an A+ Stafford game.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Does he have one more like vintage Stafford game in him? Because he'll need it here, that's for sure. Get those wide receivers going is important. Getting after Sam Darnold, I think if you can make him fidgety in the pocket, we see what he could do. I don't think they can bring blitz though the way the Lions did because like Robinson had a game. Like he had a game in the secondary. I don't know if they have a corner that can mimic what he did in that game this weekend. So they have to hope that their four can get to Sam Darnold. Rowan, anything to add for the Rams?
Just you can't turn the ball over is the biggest thing. The Vikings have gotten a turnover in every single game this year, and their turnover margin is plus 12, which also shows that they turn the ball over. But you can't turn the ball over if you're Matthew Stafford, especially. So if they can do that, if they can, limit any turnovers and just methodically work down the field, I think they have the best chance.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's a good point too. Is kind of like long drives, like short 6, 7 yard passes, long drives, keep the ball out of the offensive hand of the Minnesota Vikings. Okay, anything to add to the Rams and Vikings matchup? No? Okay. Let's go ahead and pick it then. Rowan, do you have the Vikings or the Rams?
Um,
It's like always the worst time.
well, there's been a lot of talks about Sam Darnold. And there's been a lot of talks about Sam Darnold. Obviously his nerves and such, and can you trust him? When it comes down to it, probably shouldn't do it. But I trust Matthew Stafford more than Sam Darnold. So I'm gonna go Rams. Also
Ah,
because it's a home game.
okay. Okay. Chris, who do you got?
I think the Vikings are going to win. I just think they're a better team, and also I think the football gods do not look kindly on Sean McVay throwing the game on Sunday and choosing that he would rather play the Vikings than play Tampa Bay. Or sorry, not Tampa Bay. I got that backwards. They were in the 3 seed. They would have been playing Washington, and he chose to drop to the 4 seed and play Minnesota instead in an act of hubris, and I think he shall be punished for that. And I will be taking Minnesota 24, Los Angeles 17.
Okay, Clint.
Similar to the Buccaneers game, based on, Vikings playoff lore, it's hard to have any confidence here. But I am one to go down with flames with my take. Why stop now? I do think, after thinking of it, because last week, if you're a Vikings fan, it had to make you nervous too watching that Lions game. But I do think Kevin O'Connell is a really good coach. And I think he learns from what teams do. And you said it best, which makes you nervous if they get past this game and it's the Lions Vikings again. Sometimes when you throw the kitchen sink at a guy, it's great for one time, but it's hard to replicate. So I think they've learned from that, and I think the Vikings. I'm going to go with the Vikings in this game because I think there's going to be a lot of Vikings fans in LA, and I'm gonna stick with Sam Darnold for another couple weeks.
Yeah, yeah. I have a hard time with this one because my heart is telling me go with Matthew Stafford. Let's do another good run because I love Stafford. My head's telling me the Vikings because I do agree with you. They have the better overall team. And what it came down to me is can the Rams mimic what the Lions did? And I don't think they can. I don't think their secondary strong enough is the problem. So I think even if Stafford has like an A+ game, which I think he's obviously capable of, I don't see how the defense really holds the Vikings to limit them to the number of points that it would take for the Rams to win. So I am going to pick the Vikings as well. The problem I have though is I picked it all chalk. And we know things do not go chalk, right, Rowan? Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. All I will say is if Matthew Stafford and the Rams can beat Tom Brady, who is a better quarterback than Sam Darnold, I think they can beat Sam Darnold.
Okay, that's fair, but again, that was a couple years ago.
Same team, same
Same
team.
team. Basically the same exact team. Okay, awesome. Okay, so let's just get real quick before we go, a couple other things I wrote down. I do want to get a Super Bowl prediction from you guys, so think about it. But another prediction, I have to say this, Clint, just because I think it's the only prediction that was very off because neither one of these teams are in the playoffs. But do you remember what your NFC Championship game was?
Yeah, 49ers Falcons.
Yeah, so that's rough. But I'm going to end it here. I said that the Dolphins had an elite offense, and that's why they would make the playoffs this year. A wild card. They indeed have a very average offense this year and did not make the wild card. Now, I did say that because I was picking them to make the playoffs, they wouldn't make the playoffs, but I mean, it still stands. They did not have an elite offense. Rough.
At least you didn't pick the Jets to win the division.
That was the last. Yeah, that's the last thing I was just going to mention is the Jets was kind of the hot take team. Thanks so much for watching this clip of the Box Score Sports Podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to our channel. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter or X. And we'll talk to you guys real soon. See ya.